don't always get to choose in this life, win and lose in this life. But I'ma prove in this life, we can move in this life. Can't change up, my team too real, so we stay up. Yeah, this is our year, can't change up. My team too real, so we stay up. Yeah, this is our year, can't change up. My team too real, so we stay up. Yeah, this is our year, can't change up. My team too real, so we stay up. Yeah, this is our year.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Michigan State Scouting Podcast. I'm here with my good friends, Josh Wingate and Brett Lagasse. We're here for the first episode of the season. Looking forward to a great college football season leading up to an even better NFL draft. How you feeling tonight, fellas?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Feeling great. Excited to get this thing started.
I'm ready too.
Hey, I'm good, man. I mean, we just watched an upset. Virginia Tech just took down North Carolina. We'll get into a little bit of ramifications of that game.
But was it an upset?
I mean, probably
they were ranked 10th, but they lost.
Yeah, they lost a lot of talent. And you could tell Sam Howell was missing Diami Brown real bad.
And that running game.
Yeah, missing both his backs. That offensive line was definitely missing his backs.
Sure. Yeah, is Sam Howell the guy? That's the word that's all over Twitter right now. Is Sam Howell?
It is.
Yeah, and unfortunately for the kid, it was a primetime game, and back in 2018 or 19. Justin Herbert went through something very similar against Arizona State. Had an ugly game on primetime. Of course, it was later in the season. Yeah, everybody doubted him after that. Then they completely ignored his bowl game, how he ran for 3 touchdowns, and look what he did his rookie year. So people just got to pump the brakes, settle down. Sam Howell is still a talented quarterback. He's dealing with missing a lot of pieces right now. They lost some talent this year. He made some mistakes. I just watched right in the red zone when they kicked the field goal, the play before, on third down, he's staring his slant, his number one read down to the RPO. He's got a slant there. The linebacker and safety were froze with the tight end and the running back on the backside. He had a window to throw. And if he's going to be an NFL quarterback, he's got to make those throws. But he'll grow from it. He's a smart guy. He's a good quarterback. And don't be a prisoner of the moment. I mean, it's like you might look at it like, oh, man, he's struggling, blah, blah, blah. But that's a prisoner of the moment. His whole body of work, he has done some things. And the kid is a gamer, man.
I think he's being overhyped a little bit, though. I did a little scouting on him for Wes Burns. He's with the network and everything. He did a little countdown for, I think he did 1 to 10, and North Carolina came up, and I said, I got Sam Howell. So I scouted him. He's been a little overhyped, and I was curious how he was going to be without the big talents. Was it Javonte Williams, Michael Carter, and Diami Brown? And
I mean, those are like 3 big playmakers he lost.
Yeah.
So he lost himself a running back. He lost himself
2
running backs. So the offensive line is really struggling and really got exposed today. So. And then he lost himself his number 1 target wide receiver. And you could tell he wasn't really trusting his guys. Downs came up with a nice play for a big run for a touchdown on the screen. So that was
nice. Weird, though, because he had comfort last year in the guy opposite Diami Brown.
Yeah, and his tight end, he seemed to have pretty good chemistry with, but he was missing high quite a bit. Yeah. So he just needs to settle down. But he's I guess he's overhyped, but it happens with guys that start as freshmen all the way until they're a junior or senior. It sucks because they get put under a microscope, and you hate to see it because every little thing they do gets nitpicked. But it may work out for him. Some team might get lucky and get him. Kind of like Justin Herbert, who was the 3rd quarterback taken that year. So you never know.
Do you think right now he's the 2nd quarterback in this draft?
It's still early, but right now, yeah. Spencer Rattler, I still think, is the quarterback. I think Spencer Rattler is the most talented quarterback right now. But as of right now, Sam Howell's still the number 2 quarterback, but it's early and things can change. You still got guys like Carson Strong out there, so I mean,
JT
Daniels. I knew you were going to say JT Daniels.
I want to take a minute before we get into this because it feels like some post game, a lot of excitement with Sam Howell's performance tonight, or maybe under excitement with Sam Howell's performance tonight.
Yeah.
Let's take a second to pull back just to say, we're excited about this season coming up. Our mission is to take you from games just like the one we just saw tonight between UNC and VT to take you through tomorrow's games, a big one tomorrow between Josh's Georgia Bulldogs and the Clemson Tigers. A big
that's gonna be a fun one.
Is to bring you through these games and take you up into the NFL draft with players just like Sam Howell, Spencer Rattler, and all of the great positions and different players that we're looking at leading into the draft. I know that I'm excited to be a part of the show. I want to just open the floor up before we get back into the conversation, which is super exciting. I wanted to bring up Spencer Rattler a little bit later.
Yeah.
What are you guys' thoughts leading into this season?
I'll let you go first, Brett.
It's a lot of intrigue. Definitely a lot of intrigue. See, I mean, last year's quarterback class was pretty big. A lot of names went. So interested to see how this quarterback class stacks up and how they go. Definitely a lot of defensive heavy in this draft. Teams in the market for defense, this is the draft to do it. A lot of talent in the draft. Secondary, a lot of juniors, but a lot of them declare like guys like Derek Stingley, so those guys are like pro ready. Like Stingley's been like pro ready since he's a freshman at corner. He's had swagger, so he's the real deal. There's some other guys in this class too. We'll get into a little later, but honestly, defensively is really exciting about this college class. I'm kind of excited about 2022 because of the defense. I love defensive heavy draft.
Yeah, I'm just excited to watch some of these guys. But team-wise, I'm excited to see Georgia, obviously. I'm ready to see what Alabama does after missing or losing so much. And really Ohio State as well, see what they can do. But I'm ready to see some of these big teams that lost so much and see how they respond and what kind of talent they get in as well.
And of course, Alabama just seems like even when they lose a ton of talent, they're never affected by it.
I'm ready to see Alabama lose.
Yeah, I don't think Miami's going to upset them, but I'm looking for that game. It would definitely be something to watch. And I don't know which announcer said it tonight's game, but he said if you're going to get Alabama, the first game of the year is to do it. I think he's right because you keep them from getting momentum, but it's going to be tough. The nation's going to be watching that one.
Yeah.
That's one to watch. I think it's going to be tough with Miami coming out. It's just an aura with Alabama in that first game to have them off the bat. So that's going to be definitely one to watch. Any other teams you're looking at this year, Josh? Any particular players, positions, teams you're looking at?
Player-wise, I really like Jordan Davis from Georgia, defensive tackle. He's just an absolute freak, big body guy. He reminds me of I think he's better, but he reminds me a little bit of Don Terry Poe because he's got that speed. He can shed blocks fairly well. But I think he's a better player than Poe. And then I really, really like Malik Willis. I think people are not talking about him as much as they should. Sam Howell, when that post about PFF saying Sam Howell had the strongest arm in the country. I'm looking and Brett kind of shot it down as far as what I said, but Malik Willis has a cannon. I think he could almost rival what Patrick Mahomes. He's not. I'm not going to say he's doing what Patrick Mahomes is doing, but he's got an arm similar to Patrick Mahomes.
Well, if we're being honest, the standard for the athletic, the big, strong guys with the big arms, I mean, that's what everybody – before it was Aaron Rodgers, now it's Patrick Mahomes. So, naturally, guys that can just make plays off center, the guys who can make plays off balance and still somehow be able to throw it 50 yards downfield without the legs under them. Of course, they're going to get compared to Mahomes, but I know exactly what you're saying.
Looks like we lost Adrian there.
Oh, no.
But who do you like there, Brett?
For a quarterback?
Yeah, or just what players are you excited?
Oh, well, one of them, and I think everybody's excited about this one, is Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon. It's more excited that he's finally draft eligible and we can actually watch him, prepare for the NFL because that kid is lightning in a bottle. He's so quick off the edge. He's going to go to the NFL. He's going to be able to play stand-up linebacker. He's going to play hand in the dirt. I mean, he's so fast and strong. I mean, he's just a freak. And then the other guy, we just watched him make some plays, Zach Harrison. I was big on him last year, and he's definitely a guy that I think he's always played ahead of where he's at. So last year as a sophomore, I felt like if he was draft eligible, he could have went. I think he could have been a first-round pick. But Zach Harrison from Ohio State is just a stud defensive end, edge rusher. I think he's going to be talked about. The closer we get to the draft, I think the more he's going to be talked about. And another one, which you'll like this one, Adam Anderson from Georgia.
Yeah.
That's another edge rusher I really like in this draft. Edge rushers are probably hit or miss. There's been some kind of mixed feelings about how good they are, but as far as I'm concerned, there's some good ones in this one, and Adam Anderson from Georgia is one that's definitely getting overlooked right now. But I think he's going to be like a starter in the NFL. I think he's going to be one of those guys that might not go round one, but he's going to go to the NFL and start right away.
So there's a kid as well, Georgia, Nolan Smith. He's a junior. He's not redshirted at all. Started freshman. He got a lot of Von Miller comparisons coming out of high school. I think this is the year for him to turn it on, and he could be someone that goes to the draft next year, and he has that Von Miller like tag as well.
Yeah, I think Nolan Smith could definitely come out this year. The trickiest part is you start getting into these guys and you start building investment into them for them to just skip and not come out and stay, and they stay. So, but either way, it's still fun. At least once you have your homework done on these guys, when they stay, like Zach Harrison. Oh, of course, that's a bad example because he wasn't eligible. But when you know these guys, and so when you watch them, when they're draft eligible, you're excited about them. When they're draft eligible, but when they stay, it's like, well, I guess I get another year of evaluating this guy. Maybe see what I missed or see how much better they can get. But it makes you nervous because you don't want to see them get to that point where they kind of lower their stock or they have a bad year, they get injured. Then you're like, man, see, you should just went when you had a chance.
Wow. That's interesting. So who would you think would be like a surprise player for this year's draft, Josh?
I said it earlier, and Brett's going to laugh, but I think JT Daniels is going to be one of the top quarterbacks coming. He's not getting a lot of buzz right now. I think he's possibly going to be in the running for the Heisman. He's starting out the year without his top two wide receivers, but by November he should have both of them. JT Daniels is going to be the guy that no one's looking at that's going to possibly make that Joe Burrow type leap. Because transferred from USC, he had a bad year at USC as a freshman, and then he came over here at Georgia, came late into the season, had a great finish to the season, and I think he's trying to work off of that. And if he does, he's going to be looked at as one of the top quarterback.
Wow.
Quarterback. One quarter, I don't know if it's so much out of nowhere but I think he can definitely build his stock up. It's going to be Matt Corral from Mississippi, from Ole Miss. There's something about his game that I think he can develop into like a really good quarterback.
Yeah.
But he's got a long way to go, but he's so raw he's got a cannon of arm. He's got a natural arm, and it's such a quick release. Like I really think if he puts together a couple good games, especially in the SEC, if he puts together a couple good games, like against Alabama or shows out like against Georgia, Alabama, I think he can honestly start entering the conversation to the first round. But he's on a slippery slope because honestly, it wouldn't take much for teams to go, he's a bit of a project. I think I'd take him in the second or third round, So he's one of those guys where it's like he can easily raise his stock, but he can easily like slip his stock too. So it's just one of those things for him.
Wow. Okay. All right. That's interesting. I know some other big news happened in college football yesterday with Muhammad Ibrahim, the running back.
Yes. So disappointing.
It is. He was my favorite running back. Who was it that came out of Minnesota last year? Rashad Bateman?
Yeah, Bateman.
Watching him, and I'd see some runs by Ibrahim, and I was just, this kid, he reminds me a little bit of Marion Barber, but he's got better speed. He reminded me a mix of Marion Barber and who's the running back that was at Pittsburgh, now he's at Arizona, went to Pitt.
James Conner.
James Conner. He reminded me of a little combination of both of them, but with speed. And I love that type of running style.
I mean, I saw a friend of the channel, Damian Parsons, who will be on here in a couple months to talk running backs. He actually compared him to Mark Ingram a little bit.
Okay, well, that's
when at Alabama, where he's got that strong, squatty body and he's powerful. But the thing about him is he was giving Ohio State fits. Like last night, when you saw him run, he was making something out of nothing all the time. And he was finding creases. And Minnesota's offensive line was good, don't get me wrong, but all it took was just an instant for a defender to get blocked for an instant, and he was gone, and he was chunking them out. And it was, but you can tell he's so powerful in his cuts. When he popped it looked like an Achilles.
Yeah, it had.
I don't know if it's official, but you saw his whole calf pop, and it was so disappointing to see because he's out for the year if that's the case.
But you saw that thing pop from his Achilles.
Yeah, so he's so being powerful, man, and so strong. But I'm afraid that's the kind of injuries he might have, like Doug Martin did with Tampa Bay or Cadillac Williams. You know, I'm not saying that's going to definitely happen, but these guys that are so powerful and the way when they run, like as angry as like he runs, those guys typically have those lower body injuries. So I'm hoping that's not the case for him, because you remember Cadillac Williams, how much of a beast he was when he was healthy in the NFL, and you remember Doug Martin when he was a beast, and then like the injuries just kind of took those guys out. I really hope that's not the case for him, but usually those guys like that are so powerful in the lower body, that's usually what happens. But I mean, the kid he's so strong.
Oh, he's so fun to watch. He
is.
He's basically the offense right now, and
yeah,
I don't know how Minnesota's going to really do it. I'm not a fan of their quarterback.
And Tanner Morgan's just one of those guys. He's just that tough guy that easy to rally behind, but he's not going to lead the team. No. And the running back, the young kid they had to come in did really well, but man, that was like their heart and soul just kind of got crushed right there.
Yeah, he's not Ibrahim, that's for sure.
Right, yeah. So, but PJ Fleck, I'm a huge fan of their coach. So,
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I love what he's done in Minnesota, and at the end of the day, the better team pulled away. But I mean, Ohio State did not walk away from that game. The score might have looked like by winning by 2 touchdowns, but Ohio State did not lead that game as if they just ran them over. So,
yeah. Who was the guy that came in for Ibrahim?
Let me look at his name. I had to look him up because
was he
doing 1,000,001 things last night while I was watching the game?
Yeah, is he a freshman or?
Actually, I don't know.
Who was he running like?
Was it Potts? It was Potts.
Oh,
I mean, he was a sophomore.
Oh, so.
Yeah. So at least he'll get some experience, which, I mean, that's always a good thing. He's 5'11", 210, so he's got decent size. But he seemed to, have pretty good wiggle. He had a couple big runs, and, of course, they were called back because of holding. Tight end screwed him, and the right tackle screwed him, but that's when put him down 3rd and 30. But I think that's really where they really missed him is after those holding calls. They were trying to make something happen, but, it was sloppy play after that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. Real quick. With Mohamed Ibrahim, what year is he?
He's a redshirt senior.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so that was his last chance to prove. I mean, he has film where if he can recover by draft time.
He's got film that will help him, but it's an Achilles, so recoverability is almost like 100%. It takes forever to recover from. But everybody recovers from it.
How's it going to affect his stock come draft time? If he isn't healthy, even going into the season, he was probably a 2nd round pick coming into the draft.
Yeah.
He'll probably be like a 3rd, 4th, maybe, if he's not healthy. Maybe even later.
He had 1,100 yards his freshman year, 600 yards his sophomore, and then his junior year he had 1,000 yards. So, he's already put the resume out there. 15 his freshman year, 9 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns, 15 touchdowns.
You watch a drive of his. You watch a drive of his, and you're like, okay, this guy has it.
Now, the good thing for him, and this is definitely going to weigh into NFL coaches' decisions. He hurt himself in September. and it's usually a calendar year roughly. They're back. So by 2022 NFL season, he'll be ready. He'll probably be in minicamp. He'll probably be in training camp. So his timetable wise of getting hurt, he's actually lucky he got hurt week 1 because he'll be ready to go. So that might actually help his draft stock.
Yeah.
Now, if he got hurt, he tore his Achilles, let's say mid-season.
November, yeah.
He's not going to be ready to go. He might be ready to go beginning of the year, which I doubt. They're
That's
probably
the
going
thing
to push him.
Depending on how his recovery goes, if he's not
Yeah.
healthy, then yeah. But if he is, then he'll be a second-round pick.
Yeah,
So he's
I think.
definitely- even with
What's
the
that?
injury, he's definitely a draft pick. He's not a guy that's just going to be like,
Oh, yeah.
No, he's getting drafted.
Someone's taking him. Yeah.
If he goes outside of the second round, someone's getting a steal.
Is he the top running back in this draft?
I think you
don't
can
know.
definitely make an argument for it.
Yeah,
but
I don't.
I think Brees Hall right now is probably that guy, or maybe Brian
Yeah.
Robinson. But yeah, Brees Hall is a stud too, though. I mean, even
Yeah.
Isaiah Spiller, yeah. I'd say Brees Hall is probably the top guy, but I mean, I don't see any reason why Ibrahim shouldn't have been either.
I don't want
Yeah,
to
he's
get you.
great.
I want to get you guys going too much on running backs tonight because I know we have a special guest coming up later on in the year. So I'm going to try to shift it back to the conversation about Sam Howell. I know you were talking a little bit about Sam Howell and Spencer Rattler and how the quarterbacks play out in this year's draft, especially with Sam Howell's performance tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he lost a lot of talent around him, and it does suck. But at the same time, he made his mistakes tonight too. But not to get prisoner in the moment, though. I mean, he had a bad game against the ACC opponent. So let's see how he bounces back. And he was on the road, played a tough game, and he was trying at the end of the game. When he threw the interception at the very end, he was trying to make something happen. And that's something you really respect of the guy. Like he's not just kind of like, oh, whatever, I quit. He's trying, but something was missing tonight with him. And he stared down he on an RPO. He made the correct read, and he knew the backside was coming unblocked, but he had time to hit his number one read and was open on the slant, and he didn't do it on third down where they really needed the touchdown more than the field goal. And it ended in a field goal. And that's something you're just thinking, like, Sam Howell maybe last year, his freshman year, makes that throw. So what's going on with him? He's just not trusting his weapons. Is he not trusting his eyes? But he double clutched the ball and took a sack. And that's not something you want to see. But you like to see him bounce back. To me, it's like, I like to see, how do you respond going forward? Like, does he like lights out the rest of the year? Because that would be amazing to see.
You also mentioned earlier that Sam Howell, he's missing a weapon from last year, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
De'Ami
missing,
Brown.
yeah, he's missing his number one receiver.
Where'd De'Ami Brown go?
Uh,
De'Ami Brown. I think he was a little bit of what
went to
Johnny
Washington.
Manziel. What Johnny Manziel? Oh yeah. Well, shoot. I hate that.
Yeah, he was picked in round 3 by Washington.
He was a little bit what he's not the talent that Mike Evans is, but he was kind of what I feel like Johnny Manziel had in Mike Evans because De'Ami Brown got up and got the ball. He could run every route. He was a nice player, and I think he was undervalued in this year's draft.
Yeah, and he was fast too.
Yeah.
Decent size at 6 foot 195, but he was fast. He always got open and made plays. So he's really
Johnny
missing
Brown was
that
nice.
target. Yeah, he's really missing that target. That was a deep threat. And Sam Howell's afraid to attack vertical all game long. And he's got some guys that can do it, but those guys didn't threaten Virginia Tech whatsoever.
I remember watching, I think it was De'Ami Brown with Kyle Hennings from the network. And we were just like, at first we said that Sam Howell, we don't know what people are talking about as him being a top pick. And then we got into it, and it just De'Ami Brown, he was just something special. He, like I said, he climbed the ladder, got the ball. He could run the 9 route. He went into the field, in the middle of the field, caught the ball. He was just something special. And
The thing I liked about him is he's shifty with the ball in his hand.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch him. And, but see, Sam Howell was fearless throwing the ball to him. And he trusted him too. But then again, Sam Howell had an up and down year
Injury.
last year.
He had an injury last year. What did he pulled something in his arm or
Yeah. I think it was
Yeah.
a shoulder.
yeah.
But
So he had an injury last year, but
and
you have to show it this year.
His
in my
freshman,
opinion.
this is a show year, but he still has another year to this. So if he struggles this year, he can stay and build his resume if he likes, if they don't give him a good grade. So, I mean, scouts are always giving guys a grade, say, hey, you're looking at, we rank you about here. So, you're going to have to, either stay or whatever, but we'll see what happens. Then again, I mean, you got quarterbacks that should have stayed, that didn't, that still got drafted high. Then you got guys that stayed that probably should have went out. Then that kind of hurt their draft grade. So he's really going to have a decision to make if he struggles this year. But if he struggles this year, I want to see him stay, honestly.
And I'm going to go back to what I know of Georgia. He kind of reminds me of that Jake Fromm. He's in that Jake Fromm prove me year.
Yeah.
Lost a lot of talent around him. But Jake Fromm decided to come out. I would like to see, if Sam Howell does have a down year, I'd like to see him return, go for a senior year.
Sam Howell's a little more talented, in my opinion. But he's not,
for sure, yeah.
Everybody wants to put the quarterbacks on the same levels, and it's not really the case. A lot of comparisons to Baker Mayfield, and that's probably the best comparison. Maybe even like with Tua a little bit, where he doesn't have the big arm, but where I think he really thrives is he.
You're saying Sam Howell doesn't have a big arm? He's got the strongest arm in the country, bro.
I couldn't believe I read that. he's got an NFL arm. It's good enough.
Yeah,
but
that's
it's
all
like,
you need.
yeah, he could play off balance or whatever. I mean, if he could throw it sidearm, he has like different approaches, but he's really good at maneuvering the pocket really well and finding receivers.
I did notice that.
He did that tonight, and his receivers dropped the ball. They put it on the numbers.
I want to go back because all I got to see was that last drive, and I saw him maneuvering a little bit. I want to go back and see where the pressure was, because if there wasn't pressure, I'd be a little concerned, because
there's pressure all game in his face.
Yeah, I didn't watch that. I was just physically watching him to see what he did.
Well, what I don't like is people watch the box score and they'll say, "Well, he only completed this many passes,
three interceptions."
Yeah, and I don't really care about any of that, because what I care about is when I watched it, there were times where I'm like, dude, Sam, pull the trigger. What are you doing? What are you doing? So something's wrong there. Something's broken. But when I'm watching him, when they need a play, he's scrambling. He makes a play. Now, he completed a couple passes, and he had centers going downfield. He had an offensive lineman illegally downfield. And I'm like, what is going on here? And it's either communication, and now on the play that there was one downfield that was obviously set up for a screen. So it's probably bad on Sam's part, where he shouldn't have tried to do that, because it's a bad situation, but he was just trying to make something happen. I'm more or less more concerned with the play call there, more so than how the play went down. But he still, on, 4th and 11, still found his guy for an easy first down. So he was able to buy time and threw the ball.
I don't know if it was how the broadcast went, but I kind of looked at it and I was like, Mac Brown, it's not looking good for you right now.
No, and he got into it with Longo a little bit, the offense coordinator. Yeah. But you could tell like those two weren't on the same page. And then the next play was 4th and 11 for a first down. So Mac Brown, seemed like he kicked him in the ass.
I wasn't sure if it was a decision if they wanted to go for it or not. And
but you know Mac Brown.
Yeah.
Mac Brown's going to go for it. He don't care.
Yeah.
But I think it's also something offensively that I think the coaches need to get squared away too with Sam. Yeah. I think it's really hard because you don't know how they're coaching stuff up. You don't know how things are going. So it's really hard to blame the coach or the quarterback. You can only go by when you watch it. That's why I love watching like JT O'Sullivan at QB school, because he always breaks it down and he'll always say, I don't know how they're coaching this. I can't tell you how they're coaching this, but how we would run it is this how we would normally do it. So that's all you can do when you watch it and say, well, this is how it's supposed to be, but I don't know how they're coaching him to do it. But I think Sam, he showed some guts. I think he's tough. And I think, look, Daniel Jones, if Daniel Jones can go, when did he get drafted? What, 6 overall?
Yeah.
Something like that?
He went out of Duke.
He went before 6? I can't remember.
He said he won 6.
Oh, 6. Yeah, so Daniel Jones can go in the top 10. I think Sam Howell is more than good enough to go in the top 10.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So,
but let's be honest, draft quarterbacks get pushed up higher than they should go. I
I think everybody
Malik
went
Willis-
too high this year.
I really do think Malik Willis is a better quarterback than Sam Howell, and he's not getting any hype.
Well, so like Trey Lance last year went third overall, and I thought that was high for a guy who
Did he
had
go
a
third or
steady-
was it third or second?
He went third, right? Because
went
that was a
third.
Dolphins pick.
Oh,
Remember? Because that's
second
what
was
the
Dolphins pick. Yeah,
yeah. So the second was
yeah,
Zach
he got
Wilson
way
from the Jets,
overdrafted.
Yeah, and I even think Zach Wilson got overdrafted. I think
Okay,
honestly,
calm down a little bit, Brett.
I think the quarterback that should have went higher was Justin Fields. But I was telling people that long before he went off.
See, I think you could have easily lumped together Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, and Justin Fields, and just go with who you like better, who fit your scheme better,
I agree.
who's a better fit for your franchise.
I told people before Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence were tied to the hip since the Elite 11 days. And, and Justin Fields gave Trevor Lawrence fits all the
Where
time.
they both went to school in Georgia, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, look, Justin Fields is the real deal. And I'm telling you, if anybody is going to have a better career than Trevor Lawrence, I think it's Justin Fields. But
I think that's in a great spot. I agree with you guys. I mean, it's the fact I think it puts a chip on his shoulder that he slipped. I think that him sitting behind Andy Dalton is going to pay off, and Chicago is going to be a good fit for him.
I think so too.
Yeah.
With that being said, I want to spin it a little bit to the news in the NFL with the recently drafted player Mac Jones. How do you feel about him getting the start in New England and them shipping out Cam?
I'm surprised at Belichick. Belichick would never do anything.
I don't think it's a Belichick decision.
I think with the Cam Newton thing, I don't know if Cam asked for a trade, but I don't know. Belichick doesn't remind me of a guy who wants to start rookies.
He doesn't, because I remember watching or listening to NFL on Sirius Radio, and they were talking about how when Tom Brady came in and they had was it Heward behind him?
Yep.
And Bill Belichick was like, put Heward in. And who was the head coach or the offense coordinator at the time?
Charlie Weiss.
Charlie Weiss. He was like, no, let the kid go.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he wants the veteran to play.
But a lot of defensive coaches are that way. Look at the Broncos. They started Teddy Bridgewater over Drew Lock, and Drew Lock I thought looked good, but the defensive coaches sometimes want the safe.
Drew Lock gets a lot of hate.
I don't understand it.
I don't think the offensive coordinator did well last year.
No.
I also think when you lose Cortland Sutton, that's a big loss.
Oh, that hurt them. And then they had Jerry Jeudy, who, the rookies didn't have training camp, so rookies were behind. Some rookies weren't ready, in the NFL. And you can't compare. Oh, Justin Jefferson had a phenomenal year. Yeah, that's Justin Jefferson. That's not Jerry Jeudy. I don't really
Drew Lock
care.
at Missouri, he let the ball go.
Yeah,
and he was dangerous.
Yeah, he reminds you of like Brett Favre, Jay Cutler with the
Jay Cutler's great comparison.
Yeah,
he'll throw some bad throws, but he's going to throw the rock and he's going to make plays.
Yeah, and there's times where you watch Drew Lock and he's like, I threw an interception. Well, I'm going to run, and you can run the same concept. And Drew Lock, like, okay, they intercepted me last time. I'm not going to intercept me this time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like he doesn't care. He's not afraid to run the same concept. So, but they went with the safe route with Teddy Bridgewater. In my opinion, I'd rather ride it out with Drew Lock because, no offense to Teddy Bridgewater, I'd rather Drew Lock be my future. Let me keep going with this kid. And look, if he doesn't go, then Teddy comes in and let's go.
That's the thing. You know what you got with Teddy Bridgewater. He's going to be someone dinking and dunking. You're not going to get a lot of touchdowns in the red zone with him. But at least Drew Lock, you have upside. And if you don't have it with Drew Lock, then, hey, guess what?
Right.
2022 draft's coming up. Let's go get a quarterback.
But then let's flip back to the Patriots now. They know what they have with Mac Jones. But they don't know what they have with Mac Jones at the NFL level yet. And he's looked sharp in preseason. But Belichick wants that veteran that's going to run his offense and he's going to run it the right way. So I don't know that this is Josh McDaniels' call.
I think it is.
Or this is just, or was it the call where they're just kind of like, this is what we got?
I think Josh McDaniels said, hey, this is my quarterback. This is who I want to start. And they went to Cam, and Cam probably was like, well, let me go.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. And no offense to Cam, I'm not sure he's going to get a starting job.
He should.
I mean, that shoulder.
He's not going to get a starting job, but he should at least get a backup job somewhere if he's willing to do it, and then he could become a starter later.
He's rosterable. Don't get me wrong.
I
He
mean,
definitely should
Denver.
be on a roster.
He's very rosterable in Denver.
Yeah, he's very
We just talked
rosterable.
about it.
There's quite a bit of teams that I think that would definitely be smart to sign him. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
He's obviously lost it, but at the same time, he's
Well, I'll tell you where I'd like to see him
still a
end
great
up.
player.
I'd like to see him end up in Washington.
No, stop it.
Back with Ron Rivera.
Washington is his guy is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you what, I would take Cam over Fitz. And I love Fitz, but man, Cam, that offense, man, Cam in that offense that'd be dangerous. But that offense,
That whole team would be dangerous. That would be, I think that would become one of your top Super Bowl teams if you got Cam Newton on that team.
I think so too. And that would be, honestly, from the outside, that'd be fun to watch.
Adrian should be smiling. You're an Eagles fan, right?
I'm an Eagles fan.
So you should be smiling.
But I'll be honest with you. I'm paying attention to the draft as an Eagles fan this year. I think that we need to have some work to do.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think there's going to be a lot of Fly Eagles Fly in the city of Brotherly.
No, I'm glad to hear that.
Hey,
So
let's
glad to hear that.
I want to shout out to Eric McGuire, in front of the show. His boys in Sussex Central just won 20-0 tonight in their first game. So
Nice.
congratulations, guys.
There you go. Now I got to see what Cape does so Cape can beat his boys.
Sussex Central going up that state championship.
I'm excited
Yeah,
about
man.
the blend that we have going between college and NFL news, what's going on as far as we prepare for the NFL draft. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the plans we have for the show. I know that our next episode is September 17th, and then we're looking at October 1st and October 15th for our next 3 episodes after this one. And more conversation about what's especially with the NFL season, the college season, what players would be good fits, like Fitz Magic, what players would be on the uptick, what players that we're not talking about that we will be talking about a month from now.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts you guys have for the upcoming shows we have and what we have coming up this season?
I'm really excited about it. We're gonna have some guests on, and even if we can't get guests on, you'll have us talking different prospects, different positions. I mean, our goal really is to have guests on here that not only are teaching the listeners but teaching us. Like we're gonna be learning as you guys are learning. We're gonna be listening to them, and they're gonna be telling us what they're not only prospects to watch, but what to watch for when you're watching that position. What makes scouts say, man, that guy's the real deal, or that guy's not so good. So really, it's going to be really fun, and I'm really excited about the learning part of it, and I'm really excited about this team. Adrian and Josh and myself are just like we're clicking on all cylinders, and this is just already a fun experience. So I'm hoping that the listeners are going to learn something, and I'm hoping that we can learn something and we can share that knowledge, and then we can all grow together. It's going to be definitely looking forward to this. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, I know when Brett and I first started talking about this, we knew that we always wanted to learn. We did the Beer and Sports podcast, and we wanted every week we'd be like, well, go check this out. He talked about JT O'Sullivan. Brett told me, if you want to learn quarterbacks, go check him out. So we were always in the process. Yeah, and we were always in the process of learning. There was a book I was reading about, I forget what it's called right now, but I was reading it, and I said, hey, Brett, go check it out. It taught me a lot. And we're always in that process of wanting to learn, and you're not growing unless you're learning.
Yeah.
So we wanted to have that show, and we wanted to help everyone out because scouting community is great. Everyone's willing to help, and I just want this show to be a platform for either people that just started or people that have been scouted for years. I mean, we asked Brandon Thorne to come on, and he said he would. We're still trying to figure out those details, but Brandon Thorne, if you're trying to learn offensive line, he's one of the top people.
Yeah.
So it'd be great to have him on. But this show is going to be something special, I feel like.
Yeah, and we have guys coming on that are going to really help break down mainly position specifics. So like Brandon Thorne for offensive line, have somebody that played safety at Wesley that's going to help us understand secondary, help us what you're looking for, help us break down some guys for the secondary. Why what makes it tick? What makes it certain plays. Why is that a good play, or why is that trait such a good trait? Stuff like that. So,
Yeah, because even last year I was watching corners, and I was like, what really makes a great inside corner? Like I know I'm watching corner. I know what good coverage is. I know all this. And I reached out to Brett, and we talked about it. We just discussed it, and we figured it out between each other.
Yeah.
But it'd be great to have someone come on like Footwork King and talk to us about corners, who is one of the best teachers and I feel like evaluators at the position.
And I, like, for a while, for some reason, I could evaluate corners, but I don't know why I would hit on corners. I just, for some reason, excuse me, I had like a success rate, like Byron Jones, for example, before the combine, and I was just randomly watching him, just impressed with him. But if you ask me why did I like him, I don't know. I couldn't explain it to you. The only thing I can explain is at the time was just on tape he was explosive or could move well, but I didn't understand it. Then I started learning from people what I was watching and why it was impressive. So the more I broke down Byron Jones' film, the more I understood. Oh, that's what they're talking about. Oh, okay.
And what's your favorite position to watch right now?
Right now, believe it or not, secondary. I don't know why.
I hit on offensive line fairly well, and that's one of my favorite positions to watch.
Like, I'll watch offensive line all day. I'll watch quarterback because I did learn a lot more at quarterback with JT.
Quarterback's just that hot one. I think it's fun for everybody.
But, when the Dolphins were heavy into quarterback, of course, a lot of people were lying to me, with who do I think they should draft? And I was big on Justin Herbert, but the more I watched like JT O'Sullivan, the more I understood why I was high on certain quarterbacks. And I was struggling with quarterbacks for a long time, and I actually learned so much from him within a year just from watching his YouTube channel that I was like, man, this would be kind of cool to kind of do this kind of stuff where more than myself is learning, where people listening are learning too. So, I mean, I learned a lot from that, and that was exciting because then I knew what to apply to it. And then I actually – it almost sounded like I coached because I was applying that knowledge.
Yeah.
That's exciting. It's a lot to talk about over the next few weeks. I know we have some great guests coming on. And like, I like what you said earlier about learning. I think that one of the things for me is to be a part of this podcast is such an exciting thing for me. But I'm learning every minute of this show. I'm a fan of college football. I'm definitely a fan of the NFL and my beloved Philadelphia Eagles. So as I listen to you talk, I learn, and I think that's going to be a great thing for the listeners to pick up on as we go through the season, just to tap in with whatever they're seeing in college and NFL, and reach out using our handles. As you can see, we got Josh Wingate 302, Brett Legaz 67, and myself, D. Branch. And you can also hit up DS Scouting for information about our podcast or upcoming show dates, as well as questions you may have, or anything you might have saw in the game. There's some big games coming up this weekend. A lot of excitement.
Oh, yeah.
This weekend. Any particular players to watch this weekend, fellas? That might not have been mentioned.
I mean, my guy coming from nowhere, JT Daniels. He's got a big game coming up. I think really the big look at right now is just getting those quarterbacks that are going to be talked about. You got Rattler. You have Hal that we just saw. You have let me think. Carson Strong. Did he already play? Did Nevada already play?
No, not yet.
No, okay. I wasn't sure if they were one of those Thursday games. But you got Carson Strong, and you have just all those top quarterbacks. I think those are the guys that are going to be talked about the most. And
I'll tell you what game I'm excited for: Wisconsin, Penn State,
Georgia, Clemson.
Really excited. Well, actually, I'm excited about that one.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited to watch Jake Ferguson from Wisconsin.
Okay.
Man, I'm absolutely smitten by what I watched from him so far.
Yeah, you did a report on him for Wes, right?
Yes, I did. And man, that was really fun to watch because he was so old school. I don't know where he'll get drafted yet or anything, but man, he was just so fun to watch. But as far as the Georgia Clemson game, I'm really curious to see Nolan Smith and Adam Anderson because they're going to have their hands full.
That defense is going to be.
Oh, man, don't make me say his quarterback's name. DJ Ukulele.
Yeah,
that's close enough. Well, Clemson's quarterback, I mean, that's going to be a fun matchup there. Clemson's offensive line versus Georgia's defense, front seven. That's going to be fun to watch. No, I think that one's actually going to be closer than people think. I think people are expecting, for some reason, Clemson to run away with it.
What?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people
I got
say,
21-17 Georgia.
well, right now, Clemson's favored by 3, so.
Yeah, it's not going to be run away. Georgia is one of the national championship favorite. That's going to really call who's going to be front runner for that playoff.
But they match up so well. They mirror each other so well because Clemson, you know how they are offensively. They're full of speed. And Georgia defensively is full of speed.
You got to think. Georgia doesn't have their top wide receivers, but they got a running game that's going to compare to when they had Chud, Michelle.
But they also have that offensive line, too. They got a bullying offensive line.
Georgia?
Yeah. Georgia always has big maulers.
Yeah, we do. And we lost Hill, our center, last year. We lost our big boy offensive guard who went to Baltimore.
Well, they got Jamari Saylor.
Yeah, he's great. We also we're one of the best recruiting classes year in year out since Kirby Smart's gone there. And I'm just excited to see where it's going to be. And this defense is I think defense is going to be something to reckon with. It's going to be fun to watch because we got our front seven is probably the best in the nation.
It's definitely talented. Definitely one of the most talented. I
best.
can't really.
It's the best.
But I'll throw one more name out there to watch, and that's Nakobe Dean from Georgia. I think he's kind of a unsung kind of guy in the middle of that defense. The linebacker. I think he's
okay.
I don't think he gets enough credit for what they do in the defense, but he seems to be like their signal caller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is his first year starting, actually.
Yeah.
Because we had, I can't think of his name. I liked him coming out. He was like a 5th-round pick.
But Dean, he played last year, but he didn't start.
Yeah, he played, definitely.
He played really, really well.
Yeah.
But
Nolan Smith is the guy I'm excited about because he hasn't lived up to that potential. He's 6'3", 235. He's got speed. He's got bend to him. Like if you get that Von Miller comparison, you got to show that Gumby like bend.
And I think that Adam Anderson from UGA, I think he's more of the NFL. I'd say NFL size, but he's small. He's 6'5". He's got more. He's going to be
that. He's going to be that Azeez Ojulari replacement.
He's got the length for sure and the bend at 6'5", but he's only 230, so he's a little light.
Yeah.
But it kind of reminds me of who was it that came out from Georgia?
Azeez Ojulari?
No. Who was? Hey, what was his name? I think he plays for the Bears now. Floyd?
Oh yeah, Leonard Floyd.
Yeah. He kind of reminds me of him a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
He's got the length. He's tall, skinny, but he had really good bend.
Sounds a lot like you're talking about how Georgia's going to win tomorrow, Brett.
I mean, I don't know. It's hard to root against Clemson. You know what I mean? It's hard to pick against Clemson, I should say. Dabo Swinney has some talent there, man. He's always got them boys playing.
Yeah.
Defensively, though, you can pick their defense apart, like individually, and say, well, this guy's not this guy's not that. But as a unit, that defense plays.
It does.
They have the highest paid defensive coordinator in the nation, right? Highest paid assistant.
Yeah, I think so. Brent Venables, right? Venables? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is. He's up there, if not.
Yeah.
But then again, you look back at what Justin Fields did to that defense last year with that hurt back. He picked that defense apart, and that could be a wide open game plan for him. Georgia puts a game plan together similar to that. I mean, it's going to be a fun game to watch. I'm definitely tuning into that one.
That's definitely the game. That's definitely the game to watch.
Oh, for sure.
I feel like everybody's watching that game tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
sure. And the thing people aren't talking about, Will Muschamp is on this coaching staff as well.
Georgia.
Yeah.
It's. Yeah.
What's
when
that?
Did he get there this year? Right.
He just got there this year. He got fired.
From South
Carolina, and him and Kirby used to be teammates. So I brought him on as a defensive assistant.
Oh, that's actually really good.
Yeah.
The special teams coordinator, defensive analyst is what he's listed as right now.
Yeah. I'm excited. Let's go. I'm ready to run through a wall for Georgia to win.
It's definitely. I mean, he played, or he was a defense coordinator at Auburn too. I actually forgot about that before he got
Texas, when Texas was going up against USC, he was their defense coordinator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was Auburn's defense coordinator back 2006 and 7.
Yep.
I forgot
Florida head coach.
I actually forgot he was with the Dolphins with Nick Saban that first year there.
He's a well-respected mind in the college football game.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think he's better as a defensive coach than he is as a head coach.
Oh, for sure. He's one of those guys. He's kind of like who's the defense coordinator in Oakland or Las Vegas right now?
Bradley. Is it Gus Bradley?
Is it Gus Bradley? Who was the Lions head coach when they went 0-16?
Matt Patricia.
Oh no, not. Oh, I know who you're talking about. You're talking about Rod Marinelli.
Rod Marinelli. He's kind of similar to that. Like he's not made out. He's a teacher. He's a defensive guy through and through.
Like North Turner.
Yeah, exactly like North Turner.
Yeah, like a fantastic offensive coordinator, but not so much a head coach. Yeah, because Marinelli's the defensive line coach right now. And
okay. Well, that's where he deserves. He's one of the best.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's one of the best defensive line coaches. Period. And then Gus Bradley's their defensive coordinator.
Okay.
Gus Bradley's the defensive coordinator with the Raiders.
Yeah, yep. Rod Marinelli filled in for defense coordinator last year when they fired their defense coordinator.
That's what it was. That's why I was thinking defense coordinator.
And damn, if he didn't have a game plan, it gave Tua fits. Holy hell!
Yeah,
that game plan, like you could just tell he confused the hell out of the rookie.
I think he kind of like relishes in the opportunity to give rookies a little bit of hell.
He's a smart coach.
Yeah.
That stain on his record of 0-16 with the Lions always ruins it. But people don't realize just how good of a defensive mind he is.
Oh yeah, he's one of the best.
But actually, who I will be watching for Clemson now, Justin Ross. Really excited to see his growth. That kid is phenomenal talent. He's one of the better Clemson receivers.
Yeah,
it's had in a couple of years. I'm kind of remiss. I didn't talk about Garrett Patterson and Chris Olave from Ohio State last night. Both of them scored touchdowns. Olave scored 2. There's one word to describe Chris Olave, and that's smooth.
Yeah,
he is the smoothest receiver you're going to see. Like the dude just man, he is so fun to watch.
Who's smoother, Waddle?
Bruce.
Dude, Olave is smoother. Like Waddle's more explosive, but Olave is just he's just suave, man. He just I've never seen someone with so much as a young player have so much just ability to just be aware of where he is on the field, body control on the field. He just knows how to wait. He's very patient setting up blocks downfield. It's really fun to watch him. With Ohio State, Brian Hartline has done a phenomenal job with these Ohio State wide receivers. We talk about Clemson and Alabama because they've put up some damn good receivers in the NFL. Like their track record speaks for themselves. But Ohio State has put out some good wide receivers, and Brian Hartline has done a phenomenal job there as a wide receiver coach. And it is just hats off to him because he has done a phenomenal job. Because these guys get to the NFL and they understand nuances that like rookies shouldn't understand. And just go back and look at Terry McLaurin as a rookie talking about different like routes and different depths and different defenses and matchups. And just his understanding of all that was just incredible. And it's awesome when you scout a guy that just mentally gets it. That's fun.
That's exciting. I think I'm definitely a big fan of Chris Olave. Looking forward to seeing more from him. I think I agree with every word that he's a smooth wide receiver. So, other than the Clemson and Miami game with Clemson and Georgia game, which is a big one tomorrow, and looking forward to what's coming up as far as tomorrow's games. What are some thoughts you guys have for upcoming episodes as far as guests? What you guys thinking for September 17th?
I'm excited for. I really like just getting into when we start talking players, so I'm definitely excited for that. 17th, we're talking secondary. So
that's gonna be fun.
Brett's kind of doing the scheduling of the talent. You have someone coming on for that?
Yes, we have.
Is it Corey Williams?
Yep. Corey Williams played safety at Wesley College, which is sadly no more. But I actually interned at Wesley when he was playing safety there, and he was an NFL hopeful. We got a couple of tryouts, but of course the pandemic kind of messed things up for him. But he's still working to get into the NFL, but he has a lot of knowledge at safety. He's very, very head smart. He was always prepared. He always got the defense in position, and I've watched him in person make plays based on his knowledge of the game. Like, I've watched him make a play knowing what the offense is getting ready to do, and that sealed a couple games. So it's definitely going to be fun to pick his brain. I've had a couple conversations with him. So it's going to be fun to talk to him about secondary and what you should expect and what you should be looking for.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to. I think that a lot of the local talent that we have around the area, the work that they do in the game, you can sit down and talk to some Wesley players, some Dell State players, even some of these high school studs in the area, and really see the game from a different angle, different perspective from what we see as fans looking at the game versus what they see as players looking at the game. Just like you guys say, you guys learn.
Oh, for sure. And that's because they're preparing for more knowledge, right? And they're preparing to attack a game. You know what I mean? They're preparing to, look at it from a game point of view, from a coach's point of view. You know what I mean? So for us, we're looking at it, how do they translate to the NFL? So pulling all that together with different perspectives to make one ultimate overlay is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I love it.
Yeah, that's what's going to be exciting because, like you said, the players have a completely different perspective, a little bit more inside knowledge of how, they would attack a certain thing, how they're supposed to attack certain offenses and all. So, just from a defensive perspective in that sense, so.
They kind of have, you can talk about everything you should do, but they've made the actual moves, and they know what works best. So you can be. I remember who did I watch the other day? He was talking about how he coaches his quarterback at the high school level, and he said, "You're not going to ask for players to put the ball up here. You don't see any NFL player with the ball up by their head.
Yeah,
they're more so holding at their chest." So he's like, I'm not teaching that, but the high school level is teaching that. He's like, I know from my experience playing that I don't hold the ball up here. It's just awkward, and you're going to have to bring the ball down to throw it, and you just lose a lot with it.
And it's like anybody who's done any type of target practice, you aim center mass because you have more body to throw there. So if I'm a quarterback and I'm throwing the ball and I'm aiming for the head or shoulders, there's nothing to aim at. But if I'm aiming at the entire body, it's a lot easier to plant my foot and throw the ball to that direction.
Yep.
So if you're trying to throw it here, you don't have as much. But if I'm throwing it, I got this big body. You can throw it to a lot easier.
That is something I'm excited to get on.
To hear you talk about it, I think that when I didn't play any football, so I'm thinking you just throw the football, but. As a fan of the game, watching the game, you see quarterbacks that fumble and you get upset, and you start to think to yourself, these defensive players are trained in how to knock the ball out of your hand.
Yeah.
So these type of things that we're talking about now, to break it down into technicalities, is interesting just to think about when I'll be watching the game tomorrow, how I'll be looking at it differently just in this hour conversation. As I look forward to the games tomorrow, is there anything you guys want to add as far as this first episode? I mean, a lot of information in this hour we had.
Yeah, it was. I'm just excited that we got this thing going. It's been a work in process since the last draft, probably a little bit before the last draft.
I'd say so.
Yeah, and I'm just excited to get our foot going and leading towards that direction. I'm excited that we're going to be at the Senior Bowl. And I'm excited for that. We're going to be reporting live from there. And I'm just ready for this whole experience. It's going to be a journey, and I'm ready to take it.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to this. This has been a fun first episode, and I'm just looking forward to getting to watch a little bit of college football. And mainly, I like watching live games, but mainly I do my work, on film and and be able to stop, rewind the game, and watch different things. So
I luckily enough has found the way to watch the game live as a fan
Mhm.
and then I'll go back later and be like, okay, I'll evaluate this player. I never want to lose that process of watching as a fan.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I enjoy watching the game. Like tonight, I really enjoyed
Yeah.
just watching the game, enjoying it, have fun time. Same thing last night with Ohio State, Minnesota. Just enjoy the game.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know Notre Dame was playing, or not Notre Dame, North Carolina. And Antoine Staley posted that Hal was getting destroyed, and I was like, "Yep, throwing the game on right now."
And, dude, but I'm gonna tell you though, it's that's where it's fun when you just get to watch and enjoy the game. Then you can go back and say, "All right, let's break down what happened. Let's see what happened." But anybody who tries to evaluate a game while it's live, you're not doing yourself any favors.
There's so many emotions in there.
Yeah, when you can go back because you're going to miss something. That's why
Yeah.
coaches watch film of a game after it happened. They were right there when it happened. They know what happened, yet they're still going to watch film to get more evidence of what happened, how to get better. So
Yep.
Get better.
that's what we do too.
To get better. Well, guys, it's been a fantastic first episode. Please, if you're watching, hit us up on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, at DS Scouting. You got my friend Brett at Brett Legas 67, at Josh Wingate 302. Please hit us up. Look forward to hitting us up on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. We'll look forward to having our next episode on September 17th. And that's pretty much everything for tonight, guys. We're gonna wrap
Yeah,
up here
definitely.
and look forward to seeing you guys in a few weeks.
See you guys
Definitely,
in
we
a couple
appreciate it.
weeks.